Hello and welcome to Talk Tuesday. I'm Mia Sines, and we are talking about, are you settling in your relationships? Ooh. So that can be a big deal on many people's minds and hearts. Are we settling in our relationships? So what I want you to think about is, are you settling in your romantic relationship? And are you also settling in your personal relationship? And what about, we'll bring it to a third one that most of humanity doesn't talk about. What about the interpersonal relationship that is going on? How are you relating to that? Are you settling with what you're allowing yourself to do? These are love and relationships are what humanity feeds off of, lives off of, dreams of. There's a quote on my that I'm being led to speak of on my Women Making Miracles website, and that is, love is like oxygen. Until you have it, it's the only thing you think of. That's not the exact wording, but it's that concept. And so does love, so I guess what we're also asking, does love evade you, right? In this, do you feel it? So the human things in the dating world would be, in relationships, are you uncomfortable in your relationship? Are you settling that way? I'm pulling it up. So here's what psychologists have pulled together as 10 top ways of settling. Are you comfortable putting up with deal breakers? Remember, this is also with yourself, with another same sex, opposite sex, and then in your romantic relationship. Number 2, external timelines are pressuring you. 3, they don't want deep talks. 4, you are constantly scared you are missing out. 5, you are trying to change him. You guys might want to even just put down like a little X if you're getting some kind of, at the end, some kind of a charge from that, some kind of a feeling. Number 6, you have put yourself on hold. 7, your enthusiasm for the relationship is declining. 8, you fear loneliness. 9, you justify. 10, frequently comparing your relationship to others. So if you're doing any of these, those are 10 the most common things that people settle in relationships. And some of them you might have a trigger spot next to and after one of those that I explained to you or stated. So that would be one that's affecting you over others. So if that is happening, don't trash and can the whole thing. So stop on that. What we need to do is look at things and how they can change either energetically, how they can change through communication, how they can change through connection. See, in relationships, we have to work with another. I was just on a call before this one, and it's interesting, and I'll share it because one of my closest girlfriends, one of my most beloved, she disappeared for 2 weeks out of my life. And so I guess you could call it clearing the air, coming to terms, talking about it. And it was simply because she was in overwhelm, not with me, but with things that were going on in her life. And so I was like, it's okay. It's not a big deal. So it's not that I was compromising. There was a situation where I loved somebody more. So look at what the reality of what we just went over is in your relationships. I remember seeing someone here that said, here's one. You're constantly scared you're missing out. If you're constantly scared about that, you have better chance of love out there you are missing out on. You are settling. So these are little simple things that get you to understand ideas that are not fully formed yet within yourself. Here's another one that so many women try to do this. You are trying to change him. If your best attempts are channeled towards changing him to be the person you want him to be, that is a red sign. So look, we have learned throughout all of this work that everything is an inside job. It comes back to self. And so when we understand that and can look at our fears or our spaces that seem to disrupt us, when it comes back to self, right? If everything starts with self because it's an inside job, what are we doing not to create that per se? And there are times when we do create things that aren't necessary. So look at it. Remember, frustration often allows us to blame others. So what are we missing individually as we write stuff down on every level that comes up in relationships? What are we missing and how are we operating? If you came through the space of love to operate, your outcome would be totally different than if you came from a space of anger or fear or scarcity or disruption. This is one reason why in all our relationships, it's so important to build the internal love system within ourselves. And again, we can talk briefly about the somatic body practices that can calm you, that we talk about in the academy. But remember, every growth space has to do with you individually and not another, truly. Because when you stop and look without fear, your answers are there too. And you get to listen to what's coming forth out of you. And what's truly coming forth from that place of non-fear and non-judgment is most likely where you need to walk through that next door towards your healing. So in settling, if you think about it also as settling for something that your spirit may not even want to participate in, it's rather a disservice for you, right? Because if it's an inside job and everything begins with us and we're allowing disruption, and I'm not saying again to jump in and just be like, okay, that's it, we're out of here. Every relationship has to be looked at and nurtured, even in its worst state. Even in its worst state, it has to have love reflected upon. That means no judgment, no shaming, no blaming, and looking at it for a peaceful outcome on both sides. Oftentimes we get mad and we're like, I don't care about them. I just want to feel really good again. So where are you settling in your own immediate life space that may be related, bless you, Allison, that may be related to your relationships? Because there is the truth that what we allow in one space is how we will allow in everything. How we do one thing is how we do everything. And if you haven't heard that before, welcome to the party, because literally how you're operating with yourself and the awareness of who you are is how you're operating throughout your life, through your finances, through your relationships, through your body care, through all of it. Okay, so we're 12 minutes in. Are there any questions? The audience is like, no, we're not answering. That's all right. So what I want you to do is be aware of the experiences, the practices, the tools that you can use to support yourself. That would be calmness. So it could be breathing, could be the somatic work. It could be journaling so that you get your thoughts from in here out on paper. We know that once we do and we cross it out to the paper, we can start to let it go. It's almost like telling a friend without feeling like you're gossiping, right? So journal it, write it out, spend time calming yourself and centering yourself. These are all love tools or self-love tools that can bring you back into the alignment of who you are. So if you're settling in other relationships, what does that mean to your relationship with yourself? One, it can feel like a hurt or a harm, or at some point it just is what it is. And how does that ignite and light the spirit within you? How does that keep you moving forward, energized, soulfully expressing yourself? It seems like if you're doing it in a relationship with another, there is something that's stopping you, unless it's just the realization. It's like, wait, I don't want to be that way. I can make a curve here and counter correct it. Now, remember, within yourself, it's a lot easier than in an external relationship. And sometimes it seems internally to be the most difficult to connect with and to shift and move. But that's just the inner critic or the saboteur that's trying to stop you, right? And we know that we've experienced this through a lot of the self-love work that we do, like I call all of the healing work self-love work. So forgive me, let's get back to, it could be the whole work on the emotional intelligence level, raising who you are, identifying your limiting areas and being able to make those shifts to counter correct your course. Now, if it's a relationship with an immediate partner, like a spouse or a boyfriend or a boyfriend that you live with, then it would be, anybody that intimate. Then you need to identify what it is and talk to yourself. This is why the journaling, the quiet time, the balancing needs to come into play so that it doesn't affect your everyday experience, like your work, your communication with others, your driving places. We want to have our life as smooth as possible. So take the time to deal with whatever is coming in to disrupt you. So going back to the question, are you, because we've gone over what the most popular experiences are in settling and all of that. So remember to reconnect with self, to always look instead of judge, and don't just trash your relationships. Because if there was merit there at one point, now not everybody's the perfect match for us, and we do make mistakes. So what I'm talking about is a relationship that seemed to be a loving, supportive relationship, and then it changes. In that changing, it can come back around again and even be more beautiful. But there's work to be done within yourself. The new online series that I've been doing that airs next week on Monday, that begins airing next week on Monday, called The Power of Love. Love is the most, The Power of Love, Exploring the Most Powerful Force on Earth. We do have at least 2, if not 3 episodes of changing or shifting your partner back into your soulmate. So know that there are ways to connect on a super deep level, and also be aware of the conversations that come into your awareness and where they're coming from. Most of the time, they come from our childhood. experience. And so are you thinking on the evolved being that you are, or are you thinking on the level of where you used to be, of where somebody else programmed you? Your life, your past life kind of thing, in this lifetime, your early childhood life. So that's where you get to move forward in, am I settling? Because you have the awareness and the development to do the work and to see it without just trashing it and letting it go. And I wish that there were more people to ask questions. Any questions on what we've covered so far, or do you have a question on anything regarding, because a couple of people have come in that are new? And if not, it's okay. Okay, Kathy, thank you. Because these are really only 20-minute conversations, teachings. So I would say that if you are questioning whether or not you're settling in your romantic relationship with your friends or even with yourself, it's a beautiful experience for you to, and look at it as such, right? We frame what we want, either negative or positive. And so when I say look at it in the framework of something positive, that will give you a different experience than frameworking it from the negative. The negative will keep you reviewing, and I said reviewing, all the old junk. In a positive aspect, you get to spend time with yourself and journal and ask questions and be still and be calm. And in that space, it's a lot more loving, more inviting. The answers come to you. So you are a lot more powerful than you even might have realized before we opened today's call, that you have this ability to make these shifts and changes within your life simply because you have the ability. We're teaching you how to break stuff down and to make it easier. But choice is the number one thing. If you choose that you want to understand yourself and your relationships more, you will, because you've opened that door. It's a beautiful experience. Okay. One more time, Lori's here. She can add something else if she likes. My co-teacher is joining us, everybody. Okay. So
hello.
Hi, honey. We were just about ready to close out.
Perfect. I just wanted to see the beautiful faces and be part of the awesomeness today. Exactly.
Yeah. We were ending the call on that. So I went through the top 10 things that psychologists talk about that are the how we settle. And I had everybody also look at not just romantic relationships, but our relationships with our friends and our relationship with ourselves. And so in that case, we get to choose. We have choice. And we talked about calming, journaling, because that's what we do in the academy. So anything you want to add? I know you weren't here for it. Anything on your mind? Otherwise, we'll just say goodbye because nobody has any questions.
Yeah, well, I'll just say, it was totally worth it for me to just share this energy for a second with our beautiful academy or our beautiful community, and and kind of leave it at that. But I always want to reiterate, that the work and I congratulate you on being here, because it just shows like that you're dedicated to your transformation and your growth, and that you are hungry for more and committed. So I always want to just congratulate you. I love to see that, and it's so exciting when people are willing to put in the time and the effort. And I always, I'm big into the practical aspect of it. So you're here, you heard this, now take it and set aside a little bit of time, just a little bit of time, a couple sessions for yourself to really integrate it and to let it kind of percolate so you can see it in your situation and in your relationships. And I promise you, what you thought today, walking away from it right now, what you're thinking it means and all of that, it's going to change so much when you really sit down and say, how does this apply to my relationship with my partner, or my daughter, or my son, or my neighbor, or my, best friend, or whatever it is, and really spend the time. Things will definitely come up that are not obvious for you right now. And so I just want to always invite that integration piece, because we all know that, knowledge doesn't bring transformation. It's the integration of it that
And that's the
does.
beautiful part, when we're patient. So if you're in a chaotic, talked about being in calmness, whether you're, to be in that space, because we have our workspace, we have our driving space. So be in that space with yourself. Allow the integration. If you remain calmer in life, not like it doesn't matter, but if you actually do the work to get calm, the integration is this beautiful journey that you go on, where you start to make sense of all the things that you've been working on. And so that's the most important ride that you're ever going to have in your life, is that integration piece. So learn to honor and respect it, because when you do, it opens up for more.
And we honor and respect it. And that's why, if you ever are in your integration work, working on something, and you have questions, please reach out in the Facebook community or on the next week's teaching, so that we can elaborate on that. And you know what, if we ended up spending some time on somebody's integration and moved our topic to the net, whatever, that's where the gold is. So we really want to encourage that. So we're here to support your integration work as much as anything else.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone, if there's no more questions. Okay.
Thanks for being with us.
All righty. Bye, everyone. I'm going to turn off the recorder.